thank you so much for having us today.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
This is your new location.
Yes.
Why seek out an East Side spot?
So we have mainly had a presence on the West Side for quite a long time. Even our pop-ups have been a little bit more West Side focused, and we thought it was about time to venture over to the East Side. So yeah, we just love this location. We love Van Aken and Shaker, and we're really excited to be a part of it.
So how long have you been open now?
We've been open for a couple of weeks, and we're doing our grand opening in a week. So we have a couple of things to work out, and then we're going to do a little celebration.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So 2 locations, as well as probably, I'm assuming, a huge online business as well. What are you most proud of right now with this company that you've built over the last few years?
You know, I think pride is an interesting thing. I never really sit back and I'm like, I'm so proud of this, but there are moments where I look around and I'm really surprised and kind of shocked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we really have built something here. I'm really, really excited and proud of my team mostly. I love having a team of wonderful, strong women here in Cleveland. We employ, I think, 12 people now, and 2 of them are full-time. So it's really exciting to just have the opportunity to work with other strong women in the area.
You mentioned you sometimes are surprised. Is this not what you saw coming when you got started?
Maybe not exactly. I think I kind of always hoped for something like this, but I didn't know exactly what the path would look like, especially. So how we've ended up from where we started to here is kind of the most surprising thing, I would say, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
So let's talk through your journey a little bit. So first, take us back. I know you're not a Cleveland native. What
Right.
first brought you to Cleveland?
Yes, so I came to Cleveland because I got a job offer at American Greetings, and that is where I had most of my career. I was there for 5 years and left back in 2016 when my business started. And we actually started with a helicopter ride above the Cavs parade, and I started selling prints and frames of that day. And really, that's kind of what took off the whole business. And since then, I've mainly kind of jumped a little bit more into apparel, and that's what I focus on mostly now.
Yeah. So I have read, I don't know if you and I have ever talked about it, but I have read sort of your thought process that day and other reporting, and I want you to walk me through it a little bit. So you, obviously, the Cavs had won. We were all riding this high in the city. And what was in your mind to say, I need to get up above this parade?
Yeah, so I was super excited, just like everyone else. I really just wanted to be a part of the parade itself. And I just thought it would be a great vantage point to be able to go up in a helicopter versus being anywhere down on the ground for photos. At the time, I had started taking photos of friends and family for portraits and things like that. So I was trying to kind of build somewhat of a small photography business. And again, when you ask if I knew where this was going to go, I had no idea from that point to now that it would be what it is. So yeah, I just thought, some kind of photos of the city that day would be really cool. A helicopter would be really different. And so I tried my best to just do that, and luckily it worked out.
Yeah. So you found someone, you went up and you took pictures that probably almost everyone in Cleveland has seen now.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
And tell me how you started the transition then into more of the apparel-based business that you have now.
Yeah, so after 2016, when things started to slow down with our photography business, just because, I think everyone had kind of seen those photos and decided if they were going to buy one or not, we thought it would be nice to offer this new customer base some other kind of product like apparel. And with my background, that was kind of the just natural next step for me. I love fashion and styling and all of that. So we've been doing that for since 2017, I would say. And that's pretty much all we focus on now.
And as you mentioned, as we were talking earlier, you have grown from, where were you first doing this when you started the photography businesses? And even when you started to move into apparel in 2017, was this sort of your home? Did you first get a warehouse and then move into the storefronts? How did that go?
Yeah, so we started online. Everything was on my website, and actually we started in our apartment, which was very tight for quite a while. Eventually, we were lucky enough that my husband's family has a warehouse space that they let us use a little portion of. And the storefront at Crocker Park is what came next, and that was in 2019. And then just a couple weeks ago, we opened here at Van Aken.
That's so great to hear. So obviously the pandemic has impacted everybody and small businesses so much. Did you see any change or impacts to your business along the way?
Yeah, it was definitely very challenging in a lot of ways, but I will say that Cleveland has an extremely supportive community here, especially for small businesses and local makers, and we actually saw a good amount of sales remain online, even though we weren't able to be open in person. So we were very thankful for that, and honestly, we came out okay from that, so we were thankful.
Yeah, and obviously you're seeing continued growth to come into this space, and what do you hope that the next chapter is going to bring?
That's always an interesting question because you never really know, but I hope to continue to grow. I love being able to offer jobs here in Cleveland and continue to build our team here, but I would also love to eventually be able to maybe have a storefront in another city or just expand online in other cities as well.
Have you done some of that on your website at times, like in other cities, featuring like sort of what we have come to know as your aesthetic here of that Cleveland proud, like wear for other markets?
We have a couple of other locations on our website, and I also have apparel that's based around just like basics and things that you can wear every day with my logo on it. And then I have some empowerment apparel as well, which kind of relates back to kindness and equality and just lifting others up.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I feel like at the same time as all of this, your online presence, your influencer style has also grown, and it seems like you try to use that power to empower other women. I mean, you talk a lot about girl power and sort of the girl gang that you have around you. Why is that important?
Yeah, that's something that's always been important to me, and I think it became very trendy and in the spotlight over the last couple of years, but I remember we actually were just talking about this being at corporate America and always knowing that it would benefit me more and benefit the others around me to just be a kind, good person and empower others rather than being in competition with people. I just think that there's more benefits for everyone when you are someone that is always lifting other people up. So that's kind of always been in the background of my mind, and once it became a little bit more of like a trend and something that a lot of people were talking about, I love the idea of bringing it into my apparel and into my social media and being able to show like exactly how we're able to hopefully lift up other people.
I think of your sisterhood design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely one that was super popular for quite a while, and actually it's an interesting conversation that we're having now because in the next couple weeks we're going to be releasing a couple of new pieces in that collection, so I'm super excited for everyone to see those.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. So where do you get your inspiration?
So I always say I get my inspiration mostly from my friends, which I know sounds like a little bit basic, but I've always loved talking about fashion, how my friends style their clothing, just the people around me and what they like to wear. And when I'm going to a game or my friends are going to a game, we want to be able to wear something that goes with our style and isn't something that we have to really take and make it forced into our style. So I think that's where a lot of it comes from. And then also I would just say looking at what is happening in some bigger cities like LA and New York and around the world, and kind of just drawing those in and bringing things like that here.
How do you find those nuggets? Is it from travel? Is it from online? I mean, where do you explore?
Well, it would have been from travel in the past. Now it's mostly online and just following, other influencers in other cities, just looking at different like runway shows and things like that.
So how would you describe your aesthetic?
I would say it's very minimal, versatile, sophisticated, and high quality.
So, it's not easy to do what you've done, and as you said, you didn't necessarily see the path going the way that it has. Oh, I'm sorry, let me turn that off too. What's been like the surprise or challenge about starting your own business, and especially one that is it has your name right there on it?
This one's always a hard question because literally there's like challenges every day, but like, gosh, the biggest challenge, let me think about it.
So are like some small and some big?
Yeah.
Like choosing decisions that are sort of gonna take you down another course, like, there are like those like tension points where you're like, this is either gonna go one way or the other, those kinds of decisions, or also just the the accumulation of all the small decisions you make as the boss lady every day?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think that the accumulation of all of the small decisions that you make is kind of stressful, and just like having that in the back of your head, it can weigh on you. But I also think, there are sometimes bigger challenges that come up here and there, just supply issues. Actually, right now we're dealing with a lot of supply issues because apparel all around the world is being delayed. We're seeing signs of, COVID just continuing to impact everything, which has been a little bit hard, but we're doing what we can. And I always think that it's best to just try to adjust when you're faced with adversity, rather than stick your feet in the ground. So that's one thing that I think we've always been pretty good at, which I'm hopeful that we can continue to do.
Just staying nimble,
Yes,
that's been a
yes.
key to your success at this point.
Yep.
Who's your support system? Who do you lean on when you're faced with a challenge? Do you have a mentor or someone that you call?
Yeah, I have so many people that are supportive around me, which I'm so thankful for. Kyle, my husband, gets zero credit, but he does so much stuff. I actually was telling him hey, do you want to come today? And he's like, I don't really need to be there. And I'm like, you do so much for us. You really could be sitting right next to me. He does all of our financial, legal work, helps me with a lot of the planning of the business and the operations. So that's wonderful. And then I also have wonderful friends who are also business owners, and I can go to them when I'm faced with some of those challenges, which is amazing to be able to just talk things out with people that actually know what you're going through. And then I do have a wonderful family. Kyle's family is awesome and really supportive. And then I have a mentor who has been my amazing friend and mentor since At American Greetings, named Christine. She actually just wrote a book, and she's awesome, and I can always go to her with any kind of questions that I have.
I know that you also have been an open book to share with younger makers, and again, sort of along those lines of female empowerment, I think. What's the advice that you typically give when someone sees what you've done and is inspired by it?
Well, thank you. I try to always just say you have to just jump in even if you're not ready. And I know that sounds scary and maybe slightly irresponsible, but I really think that there's never going to be a perfect time to launch something, whether it's your whole business, your brand, or just a collection. You just have to do it. Just sitting and ideating about something over and over really is great, and it's great to put a lot of thought into things, but there's never going to be a right time. So I always tell people to just jump in.
Okay, that's great advice. And if we were talking 5 or 10 years from now, I know I kind of asked you a version of this question already, but what do you hope has come to be associated with Emily Roggenburk?
I really hope that it continues to be kind of what it is now, which is I hope that people see me as a brand that offers this wonderful apparel that is a little bit, sophisticated and cool and trendy, but also is a brand that really stands for something and unites others and cares about others and helps to uplift and empower them.
And you said a lot of this, your inspiration comes from your friends, but also that Cleveland, I'm sure, has to play a part of it because it is so much of your business and what you do now.
Yeah.
What do you think that this could have started somewhere else, or it would have been much different because of who Cleveland is or how proud we are to wear it on our sleeve?
Yeah, I don't think it could have started somewhere else. I really don't. It's really an honor to be here, and I'm not from here originally, but I love the city and I do consider it home now. And seeing how people are in Cleveland and the pride they have is just really inspiring. My whole business got started because of a life-changing thing that happened in Cleveland and has continued to grow because of the support that the Cleveland community has for its makers and the love that people have for the city here. So I definitely don't think it could have been replicated somewhere else.
And will that always be sort of central to your designs, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I love the idea of venturing out and doing some things here and there outside of Cleveland, but obviously most of what I have here is Cleveland related. So.
And when you aren't working, what are you busy with?
Hanging out with friends and family, I would say. I have a stepson, so it's always fun to see him, and he's actually learning to drive right now, which is fun. It's totally wild to think about. But yeah, just hanging out with friends and family, I would say mostly. I actually like to go to sporting events when I'm not working, which is kind of a version of working for me, but it's fun to get inspiration from things like that too.
Yeah, so when Emily goes to a Browns game, you are sort of looking around, trying to take in like how are people styling themselves? Are you always paying attention to that?
It's distracting because I was walking to the game with my friends and they were like, Emily, come on, let's go. And I was like, I'm like taking everything in and scanning it. I'm like, what's that person wearing? And oh, they're wearing this jersey or this color. And I'm like, okay, I like the way that that's put together. So yeah, it's honestly a little distracting, but it's fun.
The silhouettes and all of that is always on your mind.
It is.
That's cool. And what keeps you up at night? I know you said like there are things, a lot maybe, but so many things that sort of weigh on you as the boss.
Yeah, I was never like this before, but I dream about the business. I had a dream this morning, like as I was waking up, that something was going wrong with our printer that we print our apparel with. So I would say just making sure that all the little pieces and parts are flowing together correctly, because it's very easy when one of them gets off course that sets into a chain reaction and other things can go off course as well. So I would say just making sure that like my team has everything they need and that just everything is kind of going smoothly and on time, and that my customers are always like fully happy and have everything they need as well.
One thing I want to jump back to, sorry, this is sort of out of order, but as you were saying it occurred to me, there's never that right time in the piece of advice that you were giving. How did you know for you that it was going to be the right time and that you could leave sort of the stability that you had in your corporate job to get going?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was really lucky that I feel like my business started a little bit differently than some others do. It really was kind of on a whim that the whole idea came about to rent a helicopter and take these photos. And so the business itself was kind of born before I would say my brand was born. So we started getting sales and we started seeing, a good amount of feedback from our customers at that point in time, which made me realize that I could probably do this on my own rather than stay in a corporate job at the same time and do this on the side. So that's when I decided to leave. It was honestly only about a month afterward, but we saw so much success early on that we decided to jump in full force. And then I was really able to build the brand later after really spending a lot of time thinking about what that was going to be and what I was going to offer and why I did all of this in the first place.
I love that. Is there anything I'm not asking you that's important?
I don't think so. I'm just excited to be here and I love chatting with you. So yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you so much for having us. Meg, was there anything that you wanted to ask?
Favorite part about the job?
Oh, that's a good one.
Favorite part about the job?
Yeah.
I would say getting to create something and put it out into the world and get feedback of any kind on it is fun, but particularly positive feedback is always like any artist dream, I would say. So that's probably my favorite part of the job.
And where do you get most of that feedback? Is that from your social presence?
Yeah, I would say from social, from my teammates, from my friends, things like that.
And you were saying too, I know you have Kyle like lurking around getting some videos, things like that. How much of that and your presence on Instagram or on other social media helps drive what you do with your brand now?
It's huge, yeah. Social media in general it's always been a big part of our business and driving people to our website and now driving people to our stores. We kind of started more so on like Twitter and now we're mostly on Instagram, I would say, but we're venturing into TikTok. We talked about that too. So it's a huge proponent of our business and it definitely helps to drive people in. So we're very thankful for that community.
All right. This is great. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you. This is awesome.